consistent on the track.
Once, I won't tell you twice. I got 3 blunts with that blind mice. I got 4 quarters, y'all know the price. Let's high five for a shrimp rice. I got a 6-pack on 7th heaven. I'm the 8th wonder with 9 weapons. I got 10 lips, 7 CDs. Throw 11s up for my boy Garrett Reed. Nasty little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe. You can't beat me. I'm a rock star. I'm smoking weed, getting head in a cop car. Little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe. You ain't bout that life, little bitch. You ain't bout that life, little hoe.
Yo. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? What the fuck is up, everybody? Welcome in. Episode 2 of the Over the Octagon podcast. Tonight we got some shit going down, and I'm very fucking excited for this night. So I look forward to this shit. I'm gonna introduce a new special guest tonight. That'll be a future special guest for probably ever. This has been my best friend for fucking well over 15 years, since we were a little kid. One of the greatest fighters I personally have ever met in my lifetime. My boy Nick Nasty. Welcome, motherfucker. What up, baby? What up?
Happy to be here, bro. I am stoked about this.
Dude, I am fucking excited to finally fucking get you on. I've been wanting to get a consistent special guest to come in and talk fucking UFC with me. Why I never started with you in the first place, I have no fucking clue. But it's here now. It's happening. We're fucking doing it. First live stream with fucking Nick Nasty to talk UFC. Nobody that I've ever would want to talk fucking fighting with besides you. I mean, we've been fucking watching this since we were fucking kids. I remember back when we were fucking 18, 17 years old, smoking cigarettes on the Hooters fucking bar decks, watching Forrest Griffin fight Rampage Jackson. Like, we've been watching this shit for a hell of a long time, bro. So it's fucking good to have you on. Good to hopefully keep you consistently on every fucking Tuesday with me and talk these fucking UFC fights, man. It's a fun show, man. So
yeah, man, I'm stoked about this. It's been my wrestling partner and my MMA partner before I had chin hair. So
I know, bro.
Happy.
Hell yeah,
This
man.
Got to be something special, man.
Hell yeah, man. Well, I'm happy to have you on, bro. And just to kind of give you, I know it's your first time on, so just kind of give you a little breakdown of what we kind of do. So for one, we're a fucking gambling community, man. The Overs Club it started in about a year ago, 2 years ago, and we kind of built it off of a bunch of gaming buddies and who all just had a passion for sports. And the one thing we loved to do was fucking be degenerates and gamble, and you know, we kind of created a community around that, and now it's gotten bigger than we ever thought it would, and we kind of discuss a little bit of everything. So if you ever are involved in just being a degenerate or a sports gambler, the Overs Club is definitely the fucking way to go. We have every sport you can think of. Everybody bets on everything, but me personally, I have a passion and heart for UFC. That's my thing. We had a hell of a fucking 2022. Almost a 98% record, which was insane to go that wild. And a lot of people made a lot of money. So we're hoping for the same thing in 2023 with staying consistent with these podcasts, is being able to deliver these fucking deliver these stats and picks for everyone to kind of get involved with, and hopefully everybody can fucking, you know, get rich off some fighting, bro, because I know these fighters don't make shit, so maybe we can get rich off of them, you know what I'm saying?
I feel that they deserve it, man. They deserve it.
Hell yeah. Well, shit, man. Let's get right into the fucking news. I'm trying to keep these, you know, as simple as possible and not try to extend it so everybody can get the full effect of what we're doing. So we'll start this fucking fight off, man. UFC 283. Headliner is Glover and Hill. So it's kind of a step-in fight because we got to watch Jan versus Magomed, which ended up being a draw. So that fight was not crowned a champion. So this fight was created the day after, which is kind of wild to think about. So the fact that they came up with this fight the day after nobody was crowned a champion, and now we get to have this fight as quickly as a 1.5 month turnaround, it's pretty insane for the UFC. But I know Glover was a little bit disappointed that he wasn't disappointed because he backed out. He denied the fight. He didn't want to fight Magomed because he wasn't prepared for that fighting style, which I get. But at the same time, I'm not a big fan of saying like, oh, I don't want to fight someone because I'm not prepared for them. It's like, fuck it, dude. You're a world-class UFC fighter. Who gives a fuck who it is? Like, fight whoever. You know what I'm saying? You know, Nate Diaz wouldn't fucking back down from anybody. So, like, if you're a world-class fighter, you fucking fight. You know, you don't back down from shit. You just fucking do it. So, but yeah, we got a pretty full fight card. We got two championship bouts, some big names on this card. All the way down to the early prelims. So we'll kind of headline a few fights, early fights that I just want to headline real quick, nothing too crazy, and then me and you will jump right into the main event. So one early prelim fight I just want to headline. I see this motherfucker on Twitter all the time, and he just talks a big game, but he's fighting in the early prelims. So, and he's fought in prelims before. So the fact that you have fought in prelims and now you're fighting in the early prelims, you're not getting much respect. So you either got to bring it or you need to get the fuck on. And I hate social media fighters. I hate fighters who are on, you know, Instagram just like joking and talking a bunch of shit. It's like, dude, fuck you. Get in the octagon and be a man. Fight. And, you know, don't be a pussy. So this guy, Terrence McKinney, he's fighting a guy who's making his debut in the MMA. And Nick, if you look at my screen that I'm sharing, you'll see this guy looks like he's fighting an avatar off of a UFC game. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, he really does.
He does, right? It's like almost like a faint black and white picture, making his debut in the UFC. It's like, what kind of shit is this? So, I mean, I hope, yeah, exactly. So it's like either this guy is getting a easy fight as his debut, or Terrence McKinney is gonna back up all the shit talking and you know, having a good fun time on Twitter that he does. So this is just a headline fight. I just happen to see this Terrence McKinney guy all over Twitter, and you know, personally, I think he's annoying. So I mean, I hope this debut guy beats him up. So that's just my personal opinion.
He's to fight him, dude.
Yeah,
he's be able to fight him. He's like, yo, let me fight a scrub. I'll pay you guys. Let me get this quick knockout. I hope he gets knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, I agree, man. I hate Twitter fighters, man. I hate those guys who get on there and talk shit and just get. And you're an early prelim guy. Like, I get it. You're in the UFC. Like, you're a world class fighter. You're in the UFC. I don't care if you're fighting in the early prelims or not. You're fighting on a main card. So go out there and prove yourself, man. Just don't be on Twitter acting like you're fucking tough and you're not even fighting in the prelims, you know?
Get out of the prelims first, and then you can talk on Twitter, homie.
Exactly. And then we'll step up to the prelims, which, I mean, we were just talking about this earlier before we got on. I mean, dude, we got Shogun fighting in the fucking headlining the prelims. I mean, he's been fighting probably as long as we've known each other.
Dude, yeah, I think the exact number, 21 years. I know
it's crazy.
Before that, he was just competing in jiu-jitsu nonstop, but he won the whole entire world's jiu-jitsu tournament, man. He's insane.
And look at him. He's coming in as an underdog. I get it. We looked at it. He was, 41 years old, I think it was, which doesn't even seem that old because I'm almost 100% sure that Glover might be the same age, if not older.
Glover's an old fuck as well, man. And
which is wild. Older. He does look older, which is crazy to think about. I wish I could bring this up because I kind of want to have a laugh about this right now. I just saw this on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is fucking funny. It's a Shogun thing. Where is it at? I gotta find this. Shogun Rua. Let me see if it's on tweets and replies. This motherfucker was at the weigh-ins kicking around a soccer ball and tripped over himself and fell into the fucking fell into the wall. Yeah, it was kind of funny, dude. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, if I can't find it, I'll be mad because that shit was funny.
What was he doing? I gotta see this.
I gotta find that, dude. It must not have been tagged in anything. Shogun media or UFC 283.
Did he fall hard?
He tripped for sure. He was like kicking around a soccer ball and then tripped and fell. It's probably not gonna give it to me, but fuck it. I just want to find it anyways, just to see if it'll let me see it. But I don't think it will.
Hilarious.
Nah, I don't see it. Damn, dude, that was funny. That shit was funny. I just happened to see it, and I was like, this guy looks like a fucking goober. He was just kicking around a soccer ball at media day, and then tried to do like a through the legs kick and tripped over himself and went into went into the media backdrop, which was fucking awesome.
Oh, no way.
But but he's headlining the prelims, which is still credible. I mean, for his age and his career to still be relevant enough to headline headline a prelims for a double belt fight card. I mean, that's pretty fucking good, and he's not too crazy of an underdog at plus 170. So, I mean, I don't know if I have a pick for this. Both of these guys are coming off of losses. I didn't really want to pick the prelims because there's a lot of names on here we could go through, but to keep time short, I just wanted to headline that fight. I thought it was pretty crazy that he's still fucking fighting in the UFC, starting in like UFC. I think we said it was like UFC one something. He was in the early hundreds. When he was fighting and to still be relevant to this day. No, he was like UFC. It was like 2002, I think, right? When he started. So 21 years in the UFC.
I think 21 years competing. I think he started in the UFC a little bit late. I honestly think in like 2011.
Really?
I think so, but what I dug into this was that this is his last professional fight ever.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, which is great to see. And another thing too, Nick, is last year, man, what a year for retirement. I mean, we saw a lot of big names just hang the hat up. Frankie Edgar hung the hat up. Cerrone hung the hat up, dude. Like there was a lot of big names that was their last year, which was tough to see. I mean, tough to see some names that we grew up watching just hang the hat up. I mean, Frankie Edgar was a fucking animal when we grew up, and
relentless.
And to see even Donald Cerrone, man. I mean, the Cowboy, dude. He was one of my favorite fighters because he was always one that, like, when he fought Nate Diaz and shit, he gave him a problem, and he gave a bunch of people a problem, dude. He was a good fighter, and I hate to see him hang the hat up, but that was a memorable moment last year to see some of those guys retire. Now we get to see, Shogun retire in a prelim, which kind of sucks, but I mean, whatever, dude. It's gonna be live for everybody to see. At least you don't have to pay to watch the prelims, and if you got ESPN Plus, so you can watch that shit and see him retire. Hopefully he gets the W on a retirement, but 9 times out of 10 retirement fights don't end very well for the retiree. So hopefully,
Potiers from Ukraine, they fight bears over there, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, those Ukrainians, those Russians, dude, those guys. You don't even want to get me started. We just saw in the last fight night, dude, Umar Nurmagomedov. Dude, that guy's striking and quickness. That was some of the quickest fighting I had ever seen in a UFC fighter. And it's kind of scary to see those guys grow through the UFC because eventually you had, look what we had the last 2 years. We had the African Kings, man, the Ngannous, the Usmans, the Adesanyas. Dude, it's about to be a whole problem with these fucking Russians. They're about to take over the UFC. So
God, they're taking over, man.
we might have a 3 weight class champion of Russians, so who knows, man. So
extremely possible, man.
It is very possible. So it is very possible.
Man.
But let's get right into the main card, man. We'll talk about some of these fights. We got a bunch of good fights. I mean, we got Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny, great fight. We have Lauren Murphy, Jessica Andrade, great fight for 2 women because both of these women are contenders to fight for the belt. So one of these win, they could end up either getting a number one contender spot or even fight for the belt, depending on the outcome. But we'll start it off, man. We got Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. We can bring up the highlights. You got a big boy versus another big guy, man. 6'3" Paul Craig versus a 6'6" Johnny Walker, dude. Johnny Walker is a very tall motherfucker, but just look at the reach advantage that he has on Paul Craig, Nick. He's got a 4 or 5, 6-inch reach span on him, which is wild. So
That is insane.
you already know.
Taller too.
Yeah, he's very tall. He's 3 inches taller with a 6-inch reach span. Like that right there to me, and you've known me for a while, and you probably feel the same way. I always say this on my podcast. There's a few things that I always lean towards when it comes to fighting. The person that's got the bigger reach and the longer legs and the better defense is always the better fighter. Because one, their length will win them striking battles, and their defense will win them grappling battles. So I always say that a fighter who has longer reach and good defense is the better fighter in any fight, no matter if they're the underdog or not. But that's just personally how I feel. Do you feel pretty much the same way?
I feel the same way. But in this situation, a little bit different, man. Paul Craig is so good at like closing the distance and making you come to him. He makes you come to his guard. He will pull guard on you nonstop. This guy's submissions are dirty. I'm a big fan of him right now. He's one of my favorites, man. He's sick.
Yeah, but look at the weight differential. I mean, I know this is probably going to be closer towards fight night, but you're looking at almost an 18-pound weight difference.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's fucking wild. So this is like almost like a catch weight fight, even though depending on what the weight is, but you know they'll do the weigh-ins on Thursday, Friday, something like that. So we'll see. But we got Paul Craig coming off a loss. I'm pretty sure his loss was So his loss was by decision, so 3-round decision loss. But he is coming off of 2 good wins. He is coming off of a win against who was fighting for the belt with Hill, TKO KO in the first round.
Dude, he broke his fucking arm.
I know.
That shit was insane.
And then he's coming off a submission over Krylov, which is 2 back-to-back great fights. And then he goes to a 3-round decision, unanimous decision against Desdemir. So, I mean, he's got a solid fucking record, no doubt about it. There's nothing that you could take away from that. The thing is Johnny Walker, is he going to be able to use his length, his strength to kind of win him fights? I am not a fan of Johnny Walker. I don't like Johnny Walker. He's a cocky fuck. I've never really liked him.
That's not even his real name.
That's his real name, unfortunately. But he's coming off of a win against, which is crazy, Kudalaba. He beat Kudalaba by submission first round. Cool. That was when he had his whole fiasco in Vegas where he was walking around in his fucking UFC outfit and shit, trying to be cool. Yeah. Fuck him. And then he loses to Hill, who Paul Craig beat by TKO KO. He loses via TKO KO first round to Hill, and then it also a decision loss to Santos, and Santos, who has actually lost to Hill. That was Hill's last fight, who Hill knocked out in the 4th round.
Yeah.
So Johnny Walker, length, strength, height, has him beat. Paul Craig, to win this fight, like you said, he's gonna have to close that distance. He's gonna have to stay inside of that reach and show the power that he truly has, or take him to the ground, show him what he can do submission wise, things like that. What do you feel is your outcome for this fight? What do you think?
Man, I honestly got Paul Craig winning submission, dude. And I don't want to call the submission right now, but I really got a good feeling it's going to be like a rear naked, dude. Johnny Walker's big, and you got someone that wants to pull close down to you. I just feel like Paul Craig is going to circle around him, stay guard, and get his back. I swear to God, he's going to get his back.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, I don't disagree. Based on my previous watches of both of these fighters, I lean more Paul Craig in this fight. I like the underdog. I know the reach advantage. I know the reach and the weight and the height is a thing. I feel like if Johnny Walker's going to win this fight, he's going to have to knock him out. Unless we get a fight where it's one of those fights where they don't want to strike against each other, and then we just have a standing, toe tap for 15 minutes, So I like where your head's at. I like the take if he can get some takedowns in there and get a submission in there. Look at that, 81% of his fights is winning by submission. So I like that. But look at Johnny Walker, 83% of his fights is ending by TKO KO. So I think we're pretty much right on the same page with if this fight if he doesn't knock him out, I think I agree with you. Rear naked choke submission or some sort of like Kimura, something along those lines. But I would love to see a rear naked choke. That would be fucking crazy. I'm down with that. So I like the underdog in the who Paul Craig.
You kind of look like Paul Craig, bro.
I'll beat his ass.
I know you'll fuck his ass up.
but I mean, look at that, plus 145. I mean, you can put that in a parlay. You can play some roundage. I don't think this fight goes the distance personally. So neither one of these guys are decision fighters. So I definitely would lean more towards the under in this fight. So if you go to the Overs Club Discord once the stream is over, you'll see the exact breakdown of my bets. I'll place all those bets and I'll put all my bets in the Discord sometime tomorrow or before the fight starts so everybody can see this. So I like where your head's at too. I'm leaning the same way. Paul Craig by submission. I'm gonna go with a second round submission. I think the first round they're gonna strike a little bit, and then I think the second round Paul Craig's gonna be like, fuck, his power's there. I need to get him to the ground and submit him. So I like a second round submission by Paul Craig.
I like that, Dirty Bird. I think you fucking nailed it.
That's what I like, bro. All right, man. So we'll move on to the next one. Lauren Murphy, Jessica Andrade. Two actually pretty decent women fighters, man. Both of these ladies have fought pretty good contenders. I mean, she's coming off a win against Miesha Tate, and then she's coming off a win against Miesha Tate and a loss against Valentina Shevchenko. So she's fought for the title once. And then we also have Andrade, who is also coming off of two. Here, let me see. I think she's coming off of two exactly the same thing. I hate this full screen because I can't go back fast. But she's coming off of two pretty solid fights, I'm pretty sure. Lemos and Calvila. And she also lost to Shevchenko as well. So both of these ladies have had title fights. Both of these ladies have, had their chance to shine. And they're both going to be hungry to kind of come out there and, get back into the contending role. I mean, you have a number 4 versus the number 6. But the odds, look at the odds, bro. Plus 360, minus 450. So the odds are heavy in favor of the actual higher ranked number 6, Jessica, minus 450 odds, which is kind of crazy to think about, being that Lauren Murphy it has her record that she has. So Vegas either knows something or this could be a Jessica coming in and kind of dominating, winning, via something in the first, second, or third round, and going on to potentially get another title shot or a contender shot. But I don't think she's going to end up fighting Valentina again. I think Valentina is, well, she might. I mean, but Valentina it's going to be the champion all 2023 without a doubt. It's one of the baddest women on the planet besides Amanda Nunes. So I don't see neither one of those ladies losing their belt. Although Valentina did have a hell of a rough fight in her last fight. She kind of came close, but at the same time, she pulled out a solid decision. I went back and kind of looked at those stats on that fight, and she dominated the strike game. So her significant strikes were like 120 to her opponents was like 70. So I mean, she outstriked her by 50 plus, 60 plus strikes. So, but I mean, with odds like this, you want to lean towards the minus 450, but you don't want to put that in a parlay money line because you're not gonna get the juice that you want. So in something like this, you can kind of look. That's not what I meant to do. What we're looking at is going to be, let me do this. Oh yeah, well, what we're going to look at is their win by percentages. So if we take a look at their win by percentages, you're kind of looking at a pretty fairly even KO TKO, more of a submission, 35% submission rate by Jessica. And decision based is almost the same. 40% leans more towards Lauren Murphy. But most 90% of women fights, for some reason to me, when they're big headline fights, they go the distance. Unless you're talking about an Amanda Nunes who just fucking demolishes these ladies out here. They go the distance. So if Lauren Murphy brings the heat and can still contend, I like a Jessica unanimous decision. That's me personally. Because she's not going to, I don't think she wins dominantly just based off of Lauren Murphy's history. But I do think she could win based on the odds. So I would lean more the decision rate. You'd probably get it at like a minus 110, maybe plus odds, depending on what the books have. But that would be my thought process on this fight. What you think?
Man, I'm almost right there with you. Both these fighters, you know, they got something to prove. Lauren Murphy's a lot bigger, you know. She's like 4 inches taller than her. I think she's even 10 pounds more. She's not, compared to Jessica, she's slower.
Yeah.
So a lot of these rounds do go the the full amount. So if it is a decision, it's who's in better shape right now.
Yep.
And I think Jessica's got it, dude. She have you seen her significant strikes landed per minute, dude? It's almost doubles Lauren's.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy, right?
Insane. She's just in better shape. She's younger. She's smaller. Like, I just see Lauren gassing first.
Yep, I agree. And look at the grappling too, as well. I want to highlight that takedown average. She's averaging 3 takedowns per fight. So I mean, she's pushing the pressure. 3 takedowns doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, to get someone down 3 times in a fight, it's pretty difficult if you're fighting someone. So I mean, unless you're like a true wrestler, getting someone to the ground is hard in fighting in MMA. So averaging almost 3 takedowns per fight. This could be a fight where this stays on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Just stays on the ground most of the fight. And then if she can let me see what her defense when it comes to grappling defense, submission defense. So her takedown defense 71%. Blah, don't care about that because they're pretty even. I think if she's averaging, if her accuracy is over half, then she could get her down for sure. They're not trying to submit each other, so this could be a lay on the ground, roll around, you know, throw in some ground and pound type shit, but nothing's gonna. I don't really feel like it's gonna be a knockout style fight. So that's my thought. Jessica by decision. I would look into that, or even goes the distance and see what the odds are indifferently. So I could see a goes the distance fight, 3 rounds, 5 minutes. So that's my thought on that fight. All right, baby. Now we're getting to the motherfucking big boys. Now we're getting into the fucking big boys, man. We got Neil Magny versus Gilbert Burns, baby. Gilbert Burns taking on Neil Magny, who's coming in last minute too. Picked up this fight, not really last minute, but he took the fight. And when he got the call, and Gilbert Burns, man, one of my favorite fighters I've ever seen. Only, I think, because I got to see him live fight. And to see him live fight when he fought Khamzat Chimaev, who, to me personally, is one of the scariest human beings in the UFC.
Yes, sir.
And Gilbert Burns went the distance with that motherfucker.
Yeah, he did.
And I got to see that fight live, so I just have this personal respect for him to, if you're going to fight one of the best people, I mean, and I don't know about anybody else if they think differently of Khamzat. There's something about that guy that is just fucking scary. He almost reminds me of like a small Fedor Emelianenko. When he came into the UFC, that guy was one of the most intimidating, scariest human beings to ever grace the UFC. Just based off of just like how he portrayed himself, dude. He was intimidating. The heavyweights did not even want to fuck with him because of how scary he was, you know? And Khamzat just gives me that vibe. So Gilbert Burns, he's coming off of that against Khamzat. But he's fighting a Neil Magny, who Neil Magny is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. Both of these guys have been fighting for a very long time too. So it's not like they're fighting anything different. The only reason I'm gonna lean towards Gilbert Burns, and again, you see the odds minus 365, plus 300. So this is clearly leaning towards Gilbert Burns' win, which. Great, and I see kind of why. I mean, you gotta think he's coming off of that loss against Khamzat. He's fighting a guy like Neil Magny, whose reach is very much higher. He's got a 9-inch reach advantage, which is fucking crazy. So he's very much taller. He's got longer legs, but Khamzat was bigger too. Khamzat was taller. Khamzat had longer legs. Gilbert Burns held his own when it came to wrestling. His wrestling is far better than Neil Magny's. His takedown defense is far better than Neil Magny's. His striking is far better than Neil Magny. He caught Khamzat a couple times. And if you look at this, win by percentage, submission, KO, TKO, decision, you see how pretty much flush and even Gilbert Burns' side is.
Yeah.
He is a man of all traits. Then you look at Neil Magny, 59% decision. If you're a decision fighter, you are not a champion. You are not a great fighter. If you can't finish a fight, then to me personally, you are not going to ever be a champion. And that's just how I always feel about these fighters who go the distance. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're fighting like a Khamzat versus Gilbert, or even when John Jones fought Dominic Reyes and they went the distance, if you're fighting against a true champion versus champion, and the fight goes the distance, that's a different story. But if you're 59% of your fights go the distance, that means that you not only can't finish a fight, but you can't get finished yourself, which is fair, but you're not doing what the sport is about, and that's getting the job done, going out there, finishing the fights. Gilbert Burns is a man of all traits. He knocks you out. He can submit you. He can go all the way if he needs to. But let's look at the significant strikes. So they're pretty well-rounded, pretty damn near spot on even.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, striking might lean a little bit more Burns, but it's very close. But when you get into the grappling, again, that's kind of shocking to me. Very close. So we have a very close takedown defense. Takedown accuracy is very close. So I think this one's going to come into more of a heart thing. Who can go out there and is willing to give it their all? And I'm going to lean towards Gilbert because of his past and who he's fought and what he's endured. And if he can beat a guy like Neil Magny, he might get another shot at fighting at an upper fight. And if he continues his streak, we might see a Khamzat champion, and then we might get a Gilbert Burns rematch in the future. So I think this fight does not go the distance. I'm leaning towards TKO KO Gilbert Burns. But again, I'm going to put all my bets in the Discord, so I'm going to think about this fight a little bit longer because, I like it, but I got mixed feelings a little bit about it. So
It's tricky, man.
it is tricky.
And I'm looking at it, dude, and Neil Magny's always been a staple medium-level fighter.
Yeah.
Never more, never less, but he's always been able to bang. But,
Yep.
I mean, he's never got out of that level. He's never leveled up, pretty much.
Yep.
Gilbert Burns is getting older, but there's one thing. Gilbert Burns has been there.
He's been there.
He's been that guy. He has more work. The matchup is pretty crazy, to be honest. And that's why it's difficult on this one, because at first I had Gilbert losing. But it's a little bit difficult now, man, because Gilbert's been there. He'll go the distance. He's knocked people out. Like, he's dirty, man. So I got a submission win for Gilbert Burns. But,
Okay.
It's close, man. It's
Yeah.
close.
I agree. I'm going to have to dive in a little bit more because I want to think about it a little bit more. But I'm going to look at Neil Magny's last few fights. I mean, he takes on Daniel Rodriguez. To me, looks like a cheeseburger gel cell fighter. He
Dude,
looks like he eats a bunch of cheeseburgers and he's tagged the fuck up with like his birth date and shit. Daniel Rodriguez, he's a good fighter, but he's not like he's another average fighter. Neil Magny beats him by submission. Then he gets a loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is one of the futures of the UFC. Very underrated. Could potentially be Khamzat Chimaev's next fight, if not for the belt when he becomes the champion. Because I just have a weird feeling Khamzat's going to be the champion at some point this year. Chimaev will be the champion at some point. So that's my future on that bet. I don't know if I could place a future on it, but if I could, I bet Khamzat is a champion. And I could see him fighting Rakhmonov. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a fucking dog.
Dude, he's a dog. I like his style. I like the way he fights, man. You see his discipline, man. This guy's already been humbled, man. He's ready to go. I like what he can do.
Yeah. So to take that L to him it's kind of like one of those things you can kind of dust under the rug because you lost to a future champion or a future contender, in my opinion.
Yeah. He's on the way out, the other's on the way up.
Exactly. So, and then Gilbert Burns, we don't even have to really speak on him because he's proven him. He's fought some of the best of the best of the best. He lost to a unanimous decision to Khamzat. He beat Wonder Boy. He lost to Usman. He's fought the best of the best.
Yeah.
And then he beats Tyron Woodley. He loses to Kamaru Usman for the belt. He beats Wonder Boy. He loses to Khamzat. He has an extensive background. I think he needs one more medium win, and then he needs that contender fight before he gets another belt fight. But
Magny hasn't even been in the same room as his competition. So
nah, not at all. And I completely agree. So I'm gonna lean towards that, but we're gonna pick that fight a little bit later and kind of put that in the Discord once we feel comfortable with it. So next up, we got Figueiredo versus Moreno.
war.
Kind of crazy to see what we're seeing in this. We have two guys that are fighting for the fourth time in the UFC. I mean, we've got history with fighters who have fought multiple fights. We've got the BJ Penn GSPs. We've got the Liddell's, Rampage. We've got the, Couture's, and we've got those guys who have fought multiple times against each other. But for some reason, I don't recall fighters fighting 4 times.
I don't think this has been done really, or maybe it has. Maybe like Liddell Ortiz might be close, and
oh yeah, Liddell Ortiz I think fought 3 to 4 times.
And Randy Couture's had beef with so much people, man. He's got beef with everybody. Bro.
I know, dude. He fought. Remember Tim Silva?
Yeah, dude. That's what I was about to say, man.
Yeah.
He was smoking his ass. Then he was like, "I'm gonna go smoke the light heavyweight division real quick. Come back, dude." I don't know, man. He gave everyone a second fight.
He did. He sure did.
Master, bro.
Dude, the fights back in the day when those guys would fight 3-4 times, 2-3 times, but this one is different though. This is for the belt.
Yeah.
4 times for the belt. If you look at these guys' past records, they have literally fought 4 times in a row for the belt, and no one is the champion because each time they fight, we have a draw their first fight, then we have a Figueiredo win. Then we have a Moreno win, and now we're going for 4th fight for the belt, flyweight title fight. This one is super hard to choose from. Look at the odds; they're even odds. It's cool to think about. I don't even want to pick a winner, quite frankly, because I don't even know. Because the last time they fought had to have been over almost 2 years, if not a year and a half ago.
And how was that a decision? How'd that end?
They fought in 2000 and. Oh, they did. They fought first fight of January 2020, or they fought January 2nd, 2022. Damn, I didn't think it was that. I thought it was longer than that.
Damn.
So that was, and then Brandon Moreno did defend his title against Kai France, which I remember that. Okay, all right. So I missed one fight. I forgot he defended again. So Moreno's got a little bit of a fresher in the octagon. He's got the title defense, but
Yeah.
But other than that, the last 4 fights for Figueiredo were Brandon Moreno. So I don't really know. I would lean more towards Brandon Moreno based off of just getting the extra repetition. But then again, I really don't know who I would pick in this fight. This one's going to determine who the real fucking GOAT of the flyweight division is. I mean, who is the best fighter in the flyweight division? What actually? Who was Demetrius Johnson flyweight?
He was, right?
Was he flyweight?
I believe so. I don't think he was bantam.
Was he bantam or flyweight? Because if he was flyweight, then he is the best flyweight champion of all time. But I felt like all this happened when he left.
Yeah, this did happen when he left. So I don't think he's flyweight either. And he's still fighting, actually, isn't he?
Yeah, he fights in ONE FC.
That's so sick, man.
Yeah.
He's running. He's getting paid too. Shout out to him. Like, get that money, bruh.
Yeah, brother, get that money.
And then come back real quick and knock somebody out in the UFC. Like, what? Let's call that right now. Let's do it.
Nah, dude, he's not going anywhere. I listened to him on the podcast. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he talked about ONE FC and being happy where he's at, making the money that he's making. So I don't think he goes anywhere, to be honest.
He's gonna retire, gutted up in there.
Goated up. Was he flyweight though?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, if he wasn't flyweight, then he's in my top 3 best of all time. Might be one of the best. But anyways, I don't really know who's gonna win this fight. To be quite frank, I will lean more towards Brandon Moreno based off the reps. I think that he wants to be the face of the flyweight division. The only thing is what's next after this. The division's very stale. There's not, if you're having 2 guys fight 4 times in a row, or 4 times, something's stale about the division. That doesn't happen. They need more contenders, but these guys weigh 124 pounds, Nick.
Dude, they're cutting so much. I bet you they're walking around about like 150. These guys are small.
What was the smallest weight you wrestled in high school?
Oh, dude, probably 19.
119, right?
Yeah.
My smallest weight in high school was 125. So you remember what I looked like in high school at my lowest. These guys are smaller than me.
That's insane, dude. Yeah, they and you were a jacked one too, dude. Damn. Let me see.
So these guys are 124, 5'7" though. I wasn't that short. I was 5'10", 5'11". So I mean, I was a little bit taller than them. So I was taller than them and just in their size, which is fucking crazy. So they're pretty beefy for 5'5" and 5'7". This is like we got 2 little fucking etches out here just fighting each other.
I was like, who can I compare this to, dude?
Nah.
Match?
Yeah, we got 2 little etches. If nobody knows Etch that's watching this podcast, but he's one of our buddies. He's a little 5'4" Marine, just fucking. And right now he's skin and bones, but he was jacked as shit for a minute. But now he's all fit and shit, so he's all small. But yeah, this fight's gonna be good though. I'm really excited to watch this to see just kind of who makes their name, who takes that crown of being the best flyweight. And potentially the 2 of these guys could be potentially the best flyweights ever after this fight. So
I like it a lot, man. It's pretty hard to call. Like, you would want to flip a coin.
yeah,
But there's one thing I'm gonna channel right now, and that's gonna be like the dog in Figueiredo, because dude, his last fights have been Moreno.
yeah,
That's all he's been training for. No
that's
one
true.
Else, nothing else. The same person, the same style.
I like that.
You like that, dude? And then Moreno's fought someone in between. So now he has to go back to this style. Dude, I don't know. Figueiredo has not switched up. His mind has been on the same mission, the same fighter. That's why I gave him the actual slight advantage. I hope he gets it.
I like that point of view. See, this is why I like having another point of view on, because it takes you a little bit away from things, and you have to see things from another point of view. And that's a good point you make, because that's true. His last 4 fights were against the same person, so he has only that same person in his mindset. And could you imagine me and you fighting each other 4 times in a row? We're 50-50. Going, and then I or you fight somebody else, and then all I have in my mind is I lost to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
And you watch the other person fight too. Oh.
So I like that. I don't hate that call. I'm gonna dive deep. Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny, and then this fight is 2 fights I might have to just sit down and truly think about, because I really don't know who to pick. The first 2 are pretty clear who I liked and who we liked, but those are pretty tough, man. So, all right, so we got the main event, man. We got Glover and Hill, and we're in for a treat, man. I love Glover. His heart is there. He's got the man strength. He's just built like a damn bear. He just doesn't give up, dude. He's one of those guys that'll fight to the end. He'll go 5 rounds with you. And with a guy of that age to still be able to go 25 minutes in the octagon is crazy. The only thing is dude, he's fighting Hill. He's got knockout power. He's 11-1. His only loss in the UFC, I'm pretty sure, is to I looked this up earlier.
Guy on the previous card.
Yeah, he lost to Craig Hill. That's right. We just talked about that. So his only loss to that, and that was a knockout. So he's bounced back from that though. 11-1, one loss in the UFC, and it's to Paul Craig. And then he's going up to a Glover who's coming off of a loss to Yuri, who is the whole reason why we're in this situation. Yuri having to give up the belt due to a torn shoulder, which apparently they say is like the worst torn shoulder injury that they've seen in the UFC to date. So who knows what his return looks like, but boy, would I love to see a fucking whoever Yuri does fight when he comes back, because Yuri's one of those scary motherfuckers too. He almost is like a Thor, just comes in and just one of those guys that you just don't want to fuck with. But again, this fight, I'm gonna lean a little bit more to Hill, unfortunately. I like Glover. I think his reign is a little bit almost done. And if Glover brings that heart and that passion, he could potentially pull out the victory. He's going to have to grapple. He's going to have to wrestle. Hill's not the best wrestler. And Glover is a better wrestler by far. I mean, if you look at the win percentages, TKO KO, 64% of his fights are by TKO KO. I'm pretty sure at one point he was 10-10. 10 fights, 10 finishes, and out of his 12 fights. So that's pretty fucking wild. And Glover can punch too. He's got that old man strength. He knows how to knock you out, but the one difference is that submission category. 0 submissions. 30%. Then you look at the significant strikes, very even. Hill lands a little bit more, but Glover has a chin. Grappling. Look at the grappling. If Glover brings that, he's going to have the advantage when it comes to that. So that's my thought on that. I think Glover-Yuri would be an awesome rematch. But as far as Yuri being out for so long, I don't see... I think that they want a new champ, personally. And with that being said, I think Hill will have the slightest advantage when it comes to that. But if Glover's willing to give him 5 rounds, I would love to see that. Again, I'll dive in a little bit deeper on this fight because these are 3 fairly close odd fights that we're seeing. And Hill has the knockout power. Glover has the takedown advantage, the submission advantage. So who are we going to see show up to this fight? You know what I'm saying?
This is another tough one to call, man. People aren't talking about this card enough. This card is full of great fights, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Names on there, it doesn't mean these fights aren't going to be fucking close. Like, this card is sick. I'm super stoked to watch it, man. This whole Glover Hill fight is probably the hardest one to call, I think, man. It's just what Glover are you going to get?
Exactly.
And I want the Glover to go in there and just, Glover he'll ride. He'll be that annoying little pest in your ear all 5 rounds. He'll tell the ref he'll go a 6th, 7th round. He's just a physical beast like that, man. So if he can suffocate Hill, then he's got it.
Oh, I agree.
Dude, the thing is, can he still suffocate people like this and just swarm them and just break them down? So I'm juggling between this one, Dirty Bird. This one's wild. Hill's young. He's new. He's more fresh, dude. He's got insane knockout power. I mean, the dude's he will knock you out. So it all depends if he's going to get suffocated or not, because I don't think his defense in that category is good enough to stop it. And if I was Glover, I would wear this guy out, close the distance, smothered against the cage the whole time.
Yep, agree.
Take him to the ground, shoulder in his face. You can't breathe.
Yep.
But I mean, it just sees if Glover can still do that for 5 rounds. Because if Glover can't win in 5 rounds, then it's going to be a Hill knockout. I
100% agree. And then I want to point this out. We have a buddy. His name's Matty G. We call him. I like to call him a true American warrior, because that guy is one of the guys who everything in his life is based on just pure heart. He gives everything 200%. Anything he does, and fighters like Glover is fighters that he likes. So I remember every time he watches Glover and we watch him in the UFC, he's like, I fucking love that guy. He's got the best heart in the UFC, and he truly does. Like, for a guy to go like he does, to go 5 rounds every single fight, and he never gives up. He never stops putting the pressure on you, and he's willing to just take everything you've got. And to fight a guy like Yuri and to go how he did, you know, that took a lot for him to tap. So I'm gonna again look at this fight. All the bets will be posted in the Discord, but this one right here is a huge one, and I think this one's gonna set the tone for that light heavyweight division because we have Yuri out. So if Hill does end up winning and we get a new crown champion, he is not even the number 1 or 2 contender. He's the number 7 contender. So there's so many people ahead of him who he could potentially defend his title for. Or if Glover wins, then we have may have a rematch, you know, depending on how this goes. So it's going to be a close one to call. If I'm looking at this fight, I wouldn't lean towards a money line pick because this is one that could be very close. I would lean more towards like an outcome. Like could you get the advantage of a Glover submission by plus 850, or could you get a Hill by TKO maybe plus 350? And parlay that with some other things. So that's what I would be kind of looking at when it comes to this fight, because it could be really close, or it could be one that Hill knocks him out in the first round and we're like, holy fuck, Glover's done, and that's the end of his era. So we'll kind of see what we got, and man, I'm fucking stoked for this fight, bro.
Yeah, this is sick, man. This is sick.
So
God winner or something. This is gonna be insane.
So, but yeah, man, that's UFC 283. I think we broke down pretty much every fight pretty well. Talked what we got. Again, all of the recap you'll see, it'll be posted in the Discord along with my bets. But I got one thing to finish this off on. One thing I'm truly just been saving for this fucking podcast. The man, the legend, the GOAT, Johnny Bones Jones is making his return, dude. Oh, baby. You have no idea how excited I am for that. He's making his return, and he's fighting a fucking animal in Cyril Gane, who to me is one of the better heavyweights, if not the number 1 or 2 contender in the heavyweight division right now. But
it's going to be a banger, dude.
I don't think people are ready for what they're going to experience that night. But I was texting a couple of people. I texted you as well. The intro, the walkout when John Jones returns to the arena is gonna be, shivers, dude. It's gonna be chill bumps. It's gonna be like one of those moments in sports and fighting that you're like, we're witnessing the greatest fighter of all time make his return and walk out. Yeah, he's a piece of shit human. Yeah, he does fucked up shit. But there's no doubting the fact that he is the best fighter ever in the UFC. Just based on he's there's just so many good qualities about him, and you might disagree. There's a lot of people that put GSP up there. There's a lot of people that'll put a couple other fighters up there, Khabib and things like that. But I don't give a fuck, man. John Jones, he is the perfect fighter. There's no flaws. So I'm so excited for that. I'll be in Vegas the day after the fight. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to the fight. I wish the fuck I could, but I'm gonna try to fucking meet some of those fighters down there while I'm down there if they're still in town on Sunday. I'm gonna try to hit some spots up. See, I've been doing my research and looking into shit. So that's my goal. But nasty, man, I can't tell you, man. I thank you for coming on and fucking being a part of this with me. This is gonna be one of my biggest things I'm doing in 2023 to try to amp the Overs Club up when it comes to a different thing with MMA, something I'm very passionate about, something I've always loved my whole life, wrestling, UFC, and there's nobody I'd want to discuss it with but you, man. I mean, be quite honest, I've had my buddy Footloose on a couple times, but you and me, we go way too far back. Hell, we talk every fucking day. You've been my best friend forever, man. So I appreciate you being on here with me, and hopefully we can continue this and make something out of it and help grow the Overs Club and be fucking great,
Man, I tell you what, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else right now, dude. It's seeing what you've done with the Overs Club and everything with your gambling and stuff like that, making that money, making the right calls, dude. It's insane. I shed blood on the mat with you, tears on the mat with you, bro. We killed it everywhere we went, man. You're my dog. And next episode, I want to talk about how Tom Brady is how John Jones is the Tom Brady of MMA.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got a lot to discuss, man, and I'm all for doing discussion podcast, which, hell, if we want to, we can extend these to more than one day a week, which I'm completely okay with. I have no problem. I can do these every night, any night we want to do these. As long as the people listen, I'm all for it. So, but yeah, man, we're gonna cut this one off and end it. We're right at an hour. We've been chatting it up and talking about it. I want to keep these right about an hour long because I know it's hard to watch and listen if you're not a big MMA fan. You just want the details, man. So, but this is something we're passionate about, so it's gonna probably be an hour long podcast every single time, to be honest. But I appreciate you coming on, brother. And yeah, man, we're gonna end this right here, and we'll go on about our nights. Enjoy your night, brother. I'll give you a shout after we end this thing up, and then we'll go from there.
All right, Dirty Bird. I'll catch you later, bro.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right, man. Well, that was a great podcast, guys. UFC 283 this Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Be there, be square. Join the Overs Club Discord. Link is in my Twitter bio. I will put that in the YouTube bio, so everyone can join that if they're on there. And we'll be back again next Tuesday night around 8:30 to talk more. So appreciate everybody. We'll see y'all next time.
Tristan on the track.